started the stream. So.
Another round of applause for the Sherwood drum line. So that was pretty quick. Do you want to hear more? Okay. Guys, take it away.
Getting first place in the state of Oregon and second in the Pacific Northwest. So the groups you just heard, we played the football games to get the audience involved, get some cheering going on. But I'd like to play an excerpt from that show that they did so well. So this is from the show Home that was our theme for the performance. Here we go. Pause for a second. Here we go.
That was so cool they could be here today. I just also wanted to thank the band director, Brandon Stye, and Byron Hall, who we just talked to, who's the, make sure I get his title right, percussion director. So anyways, now you have to listen to me. So, anyways, before we get started here, I just wanted to say some thanks. We just had our school systems drum line here, which is amazing, and it's really an indication of the very strong partnership that we have our school system. We work really closely together on a lot of issues, especially around safe routes to school and making sure kids get to school safely and get home from school safely. It's one of the reasons we have that new bridge going in that many of you have seen out there. So I also wanted to thank, we have a lot of folks in the crowd that I want to just call out real quick. We have some Sherwood City Council members here today, and I see Council President Kim Young right there, and Councilor Renee Browse. Yes. And I don't think I see any other count. Raise your hand if I missed one of you. I don't want to miss anybody. Just a shout out to our council too. We have an amazing city council. We have diverse views, but everyone on council cares about this community. They work hard to collaborate and work for this community and do great things. I could not ask for better counsel. We also have some other folks here. We have another mayor. Where's Frank? Frank Liveneck from Walton. And I didn't see any other mayors come in, so raise your hand if I don't want to miss anybody. We also have some of our county commissioners here today. We have Pam Treese, Jason Snyder. Thanks for being here today. We also have Courtney Neron, our house rep. Courtney does a great job for our community and representing our community in Salem. I really appreciate her work. I also wanted to just a shout out. We have our chamber executive director, Sherwood Chamber of Commerce is here, and some of the board members are here. And I didn't see anybody from our Main Street organization, but just a quick shout out. Oh wait, and we got Garrett Rosenthal from Metro. He's our Metro representative. Sorry, Garrett. And Frank, did I miss anybody else here with the microphone? Okay, good. And then last but not least, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming here tonight and enjoying a little time with each other and hear a little bit about what's going on in the city over the last year and what we're thinking about into the future. I actually have 4 more things. I also want to thank these beautiful plants were loaned to us by Al's Garden Center, so I want to give a shout out to them. And a shout out to Deb from 503 of the Court. One of the reasons I wanted to do this in the evening, because you can't really do that at lunch, I guess you could. But works better in the evening. And then we also have Honey Rose Boards did this wonderful charcuterie bucket. And then a lot of those stuff was provided by Safeway, so we thank them. And then the amazing Bernie, wasn't that amazing music? The next up here, just like last year, we put together a little video, so we're going to play that first, and then I'll get into my remarks. So we'll start with that. Sherwood's future is bright. As we enter 2025, we're excited about all the opportunity. We want to hold on to our traditions while we create new possibilities for our community. We have a lot of exciting stuff going on. Stay tuned, watch what's happening, and get involved. Over the last 4 years on the west side of town, we've worked really hard to bring in 1,200 acres of expansion area for our city. This is much needed land for jobs, for recreation areas. Of that 1,200 acres, 500 acres will be natural resource areas for trails and parks. We're looking at specialty zoning for cottage clusters and multifamily zoning, so we'll have more affordable and middle housing options in the city of Sherwood. We're really excited about a hospitality zone, which will become a future gateway to wine country. A lot of fun stuff happening there, but we still have a lot of work to do. We'd like to see the community engaged as we work through the detailed planning for this. We don't expect to see any construction, shovels in the ground out there for probably another 4 to 5 years, but we need your help planning. There's a lot of exciting activity happening on the west side of the town this spring. We're actually building our brand new pedestrian bridge. I am so excited about this. We're going to have a 900-foot bridge that crosses 3 roads and connects our YMCA over to the new high school. That's the obvious connection, but if you really think about it, it's connecting East and West Sherwood as we expand into the Sherwood West area. And as I said before, my dream is that a kid can get on his bike in Sherwood West and ride all the way to downtown Sherwood and visit our library and bike back. And parents and the kids think that's a safe trip for that kid to make.
Sherwood Center for the Arts is hopping in Old Town. We're so excited to be celebrating our 10th birthday this year, 2025, opened in 2015. And there's so many things going on here, including year-round arts classes, people who want to take guitar or ukulele or theater class, or dessert decor, we have ample opportunity over here. We have our summer program that is bursting to the seams. We have hundreds of kids who come down through our Center for Arts Camp every year. And we also have cultural festivals. We doubled in attendance this last year with our Diwali event, our Lunar New Year, and our live performances. So we're really excited to be here. We're part of Old Town. We draw audiences from Wilsonville and Tigard and Tualatin and Newburgh, Beaverton, Southeast Portland, all coming downtown to attend events and hold performances and celebrations at the Center for the Arts.
Sherwood Public Library has something for everyone. In the last year, we provided over 400 events and classes for all ages. That included story times, computer classes, citizenship classes, book discussions, and more. We've had 23,000 participants in those classes. We welcomed over 200,000 visits to our location and provided over 450,000 checkouts of library materials. That was a 5% increase from the year before.
As many of you know, Sherwood operates a municipal broadband network, and we're continuing to make great progress in expanding that to the entire city. We're about 50% through getting Sherwood broadband to 12 of our homes. I just recently got Sherwood broadband, and I'm just super excited about it. You should also know that we're not just doing it in the city. We've received almost $11 million in federal grants to expand our broadband network out into the rural communities around us, all the way out towards Newburgh and up Chehalem Mountain and all of Paramount. Our community loves it. We recently did a poll, and in that poll we found out that 8 to 9 out of 10 of you would recommend Sherwood broadband to your neighbors, compared to some of our competitors where it's more 3 or 4 out of 10. So we're super excited about that. We have an amazing staff that takes care of the Sherwood broadband network for our community. We're excited to have those customers.
We are loving life at the Margaret Stewart Senior Community Center. In the past year, we've been able to see several community milestones. We've been able to serve over 17,000 meals to our community members, welcoming new members every day. That's more than twice the amount of meals that we served prior to the COVID pandemic. We're also thrilled to see the full launch of our Sherwood Senior Shuttle. We're now able to take older adults in Sherwood where they want to go, whether that's the grocery store, friends' houses, the senior center, or whatever they want to do. We've seen an expansion of a lot of our classes, our mental health programs, and we've even added Spanish chatting coffee groups. Another bonus of the Sherwood Senior Shuttle is the trips that we get to take. We get to go to the beach, we go to Timberline Lodge, and just this week we're going to the Allison Spa for a spa treatment. We'll have the whole spa to ourselves, massages, spa rooms, and saunas. We have some fun with the Senior Center.
We've had a lot of exciting activity happening on the east side of town in our Concord employment area. Over the last several years, we've worked hard to bring in major new developments to bring new jobs to the cities, and on bringing a lot of exciting companies that are choosing Sherwood as home, like Land Research and Olympus Controls. We have almost 1 million square feet of high-tech advanced manufacturing space coming online in that part of the city. But we're not just focused on jobs around our city, we're also focused internally with our small businesses. We're starting a strategic planning process for our downtown core to really look at how can we promote and bring in the amenities, the bakeries, the mercantile shops, and the other types of businesses that we like to have in our downtown core. Thank you for being part of this journey. Here's to another year of progress in Sherwood. Sherwood 2025, where tradition meets innovation. Staff did such an amazing job putting that video together. Very cool. I'll try not to repeat all the stuff I just learned as we go forward tonight. But what I thought I'd do tonight, every year, usually in the January timeframe, the council sits down and we go through, we used to call it a retreat. We didn't really go anywhere, but retreat sounded like we were off, in some fantastic place. So we changed the name to a visioning session. So we really sit down and talk about what are our goals for the city, what's our vision, and what that does is it helps staff understand what they need to do, right? So we set the vision, we set the goals, staff comes up with the work plan for the next year, then we do our budgeting, and then we work on that work. And it's a process that we've been honing over the last 5 years, and it's really working well now. As part of our vision, we have 7 core values that we think about. We think about citizen engagement, community livability, community partnerships, community pride, fiscal responsibility is really important, especially in these times, and quality services, and really one of the things I'm really proud about Sherwood is we're very forward thinking in terms of how we innovate and how we think differently about delivering services and being efficient. So that's kind of the high level of what we do. But I thought I'd go into each of those areas and just talk about it a little bit, talk about what we're doing. So make sure I'm on the right slide there. So the first one is economic development. When we talk about our key goals for economic development, I just want to read a few of these so you can kind of understand the basis. We want to promote economic growth opportunities in our city. We want to support new commercial and industrial development. Part of the reasons we're focused on bringing jobs to the city, there's a couple things there. One is, wouldn't it be great if we could live and work here? We have a lot of people that have to commute, very long distances, or maybe not long distances, but very long times, given traffic, to the work centers in Washington County, in Portland, in Wilsonville, et cetera. So we really want to bring those more jobs, high quality family wage jobs to Sherwood so people have the opportunity to live and work here. It also is really beneficial in that it helps us balance our tax base. And I think I've told, for those of you last year, you may have heard this before, but for every $1.25 we bring in residential property tax, for every dollar we bring in residential property tax revenue, it costs us about $1.25 in our general fund to support that. So when you think of police, when you think of road maintenance, all those types of things, that's kind of what our cost adds up to. For jobs land, commercial land, industrial land, those numbers run more like 50 to 65 to 75 cents for every dollar we bring in. So it's another strategy. Balancing our tax base gives us more longevity, more sustainability as we move forward into the future. So that's a big part of that. We're also, as part of our economic development, we're competing with a lot of the cities around us in terms of bringing those manufacturers, bringing those jobs to our cities. So we have to roll out the red carpet. So the staff has done a really great job of helping entities come into our city, learn how to navigate our processes, and we even help them navigate county processes and metro processes. And when it comes to, if you want to build 1 million square feet of advanced, manufacturing space like we have going in on Oregon Street right now. So our staff does an amazing job working with those companies, problem solving for them, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, your application's not working here, go figure it out. We'll actually sit down with them, walk them through it, and help them problem solve, help them connect with the other entities they need to connect to it to get things done. And that's really important, and I think it's a big reason that we've been so successful in bringing some of those companies to our city, which has been great. And I just got this number today, but just in those efforts in the last, you saw the work on 12 and Sherwood Road, where Wayne Research went in, and DW Fritz, some other companies out there. Between that and so far, what we've seen in the new development along Oregon Street, we brought in 700 high-quality jobs into the city. From Portland, that would be a tiny number, but considering our population is only 20,000, that's huge. So we're really proud of that. And we just have amazing staff. We already said it, amazing staff that just does a wonderful job. Make sure I didn't miss anything there. We're continuing to work on that, and I'm going to talk more about Sherwood West later. But one of the reasons we wanted to bring in that land in Sherwood West is we're going to allocate about 200 acres of that for jobs land, because we are actually starting to run out of jobs land. Bruce Coleman, you remember him, he used to tell me all the time, he thought we had about 2 to 3 years left. Some other people said about 5 years, but we are getting constrained, and we want to continue that growth. The next pillar that we talk about with council is infrastructure. So I'm going to go through a couple things here. This is another area where the staff has just done a fantastic job. For those of you who've lived here a long time, how many remember when we put in big water pipe and we did the water project? Remember all that? I lived here during that, and at the time I thought the well water was fine, like we were used to have. But that was a big project. That was around 2008, about that time frame. And what we did back then is we partnered with City Wilsonville. We built a water treatment plant on the Willamette with an intake facility down there, and we put in a 20 million, a pipe that can handle 20 million gallons a day of water between that plant and Sherwood. And that, by the way, we peak out at like 7 to 8 million a day, so we have lots of capacity in that pipe. The plant, we recently a lot of you don't even know this, we did an expansion of that plant over the last couple of years. We've increased the capacity by 33%. So we're up to, that plant can put about 20 million gallons a day. Keep in mind, we share that with Wilsonville. And we have even more room to expand that down there. So my point of all that is, when we put that in place, we set our rates in such a way that we were planning for these investments that we knew we would have to make in terms of maintaining that capital infrastructure and having to, we knew we were going to have to expand the capacity of that plant at some point. So we're just, Craig, I think you told me maybe 3 or 4 months that'll be wrapped up. Yeah, and the good news is we didn't have to raise utility rates, we didn't have to go out for a levy, we didn't have to go out for a bond. We had managed our money in such a way that we had the money to do those capital projects. And by the way, we're still doing that because we know there's going to be capital projects in the future. And really good news, on top of not having to ask all of you for more money, is in our current configuration, we are set till about 2067 in terms of as the city grows, if you just look at current growth rates. The only thing that's constraining us on that date is just the intake facility. We'll need more capacity there at some point. Once that's fixed, we can probably go out another 100 years. So we're in really good shape in the water side. And I just wanted to highlight, and by the way, that's an overhead shot of the plant, for those of you who've never been down there to see it. But staff just did an amazing job. Companies we work with, Wilsonville's been great partners on this project. So really cool stuff. Someone's excited about water. Does anybody guys know about the bridge? You heard about that? I can spend a lot of time here. Yeah. Super excited about this project. This was a pet project for me and some of the other counselors when we first got in office back in 2018, especially as they were building out the new high school. As I mentioned in the video, it's about safety, it's about connecting communities, this is a generational project that's going to serve us for many, many, many years, connecting the two sides of town. The good news I wanted to let everybody know, as of right now, we're under budget and on time. So, Craig's over here going, don't jinx it. That's Craig Sheldon, our city manager. He's amazing, by the way. The engineering firm, the construction company, the staff, all of our regional partners, because you don't just do this on your own. You have to work with ODOT, you have to work with the county, you have to work with PGE. You notice we have to make some power lines out there to get that done. It's a fantastic project. It's going to be beautiful when it's done, and I can't wait. And we are, Craig, what's the term? Substantially complete in September, which is engineering talk for it. You'll be able to use it, but there's going to be some punch list items left on that bridge. But they've done an amazing job. It looks beautiful, and we're really excited. We're looking at another pedestrian crossing in Cedar Creek near Meineke. Our goal there is at some point, we have a lot of kids crossing to get to the middle school, which scares me. Every day I drive down that road and see those kids crossing 99 West. But that's another point that we want to connect the two sides of the community with the trail system. Ultimately, the Cedar Creek Trail will run all the way out to the wildlife refuge. And our goal with that project is to actually lift 99, restore that stream corridor, and put the trail underneath it. And as you can imagine, that's a big price tag to do that. So just like the last bridge, we're probably going to be spending quite a few years building that layer cake of funding. Our goal right now is to get enough of the engineering work done that we're grant ready. And what I mean by that is all these grant opportunities pop up at the state level and the federal level, and the more design work you have done, the more you put into it, you rise to the top of the list. And that's one of the reasons we were able to get the current pedestrian bridge done. So that is a priority too, that we're looking at very closely. So, all right. move on to some fun stuff. Our next pillar is livability, and the things we think about there as a council is our walkable trail system. How many people take advantage of the trails in Sherwood? They're amazing. We just completed a parks master plan last year. We want to continue to expand that trail system, and not just the trails within a neighborhood, but connect the different neighborhoods together. So we have a trail system, as I said in the video, you know, the kid can get on their bike over by Shoals and not Shoals, LeBeau Road out there, and ride all the way to downtown Sherwood, go to Rainbow Market, pick up a library book, and go home. It'd be great. So we really want to highlight those trails. We want to promote diverse housing. And what I mean by that is Sherwood is dominated by single-family detached homes. We want homes. We need middle housing. We need starter housing. You know, for people that are just starting a family, just moving into the community. Something smaller footprint, more affordable price. We need. I mentioned in the videos. We want cottage clusters. Those are great homes for people who want to age in place. I talk to a lot of people who they raise their kids here, and as soon as their kids are out to college, they move out because there's really no opportunity to downsize in our community to a smaller home. And we're hoping that we can generate more affordable. We need to do our part to address affordability in the region and the housing crisis in the region. So that's another big piece of what we're looking at. And there's going to be opportunities to volunteer on the Citizens Advisory Council, by the way, for Sherwood West, as we start to do detailed design for that. So, you know, watch our website if any of you are interested in being involved in that process, because we want your input. We also, you know, we want to promote environmental initiatives that are achievable and impactful. We had a long conversation about this on council. There's, you know, especially in the for-profit world, there's a lot of greenwashing that goes on. They're doing a lot of stuff that really isn't having an impact. So we are sensitive to the environment. We do our part, but we want to promote strategies that are actually impactful and achieve results for the community, especially if we're going to spend money on it. And then, of course, livability, community enhancements, parks and public spaces. I think we have a lot of beautiful parks in town. We want to continue to promote that. As we look at Sherwood West, we just closed on property out there. So one of the things we're doing in Sherwood West, even though it's going to be a long time before that's built out, probably 30 to 40 years before it's completely built out, we're looking for land for the parks now. Because if we buy it now and bank it, it's a lot cheaper than trying to buy it in the future. So we just closed on a property. How many acres, Greg? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. 8 acres. It's right exactly where we wanted to put a park in our concept plan. So super excited about that. The Arts Center, I just wanted to highlight that. You heard it in the videos. Last year they had over 41,000 attendees. This is the Bubble Man. You guys ever seen the Bubble Man? It's amazing. You've seen it? Take your kids. He comes every year, does an amazing job. But we had 41,000 attendees at events. We had 1,250 people registered for classes. Had 86 facility rentals where groups are renting these facilities for all kinds of fun stuff. And we had 36 production events here. So musicals and plays. We have wonderful nonprofit organizations in our community, the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts, the Voices for the Performing Arts, and then we leave some out that just do some amazing programming here in our community. They also do art walks, which have been very popular. They start here. We had a Diwali celebration that was amazing earlier this year. We do art gallery openings, all kinds of fun stuff going on in the Arts Center. They have open mic nights, by the way, if any of you are interested in that. But a lot of fun stuff. And by the way, this is the 10th anniversary of the Arts Center. It feels like it's been longer than that, but it's the 10th anniversary, and the Friends of the Sherwood Arts Center is going to be holding all kinds of events all year celebrating the 10th anniversary. You heard a little bit about the Marjorie Stewart Senior Center. I am just incredibly proud of the work that gets done in that senior center. As they mentioned in the video, they served over 16,000 hot meals last year. A lot of those, most of those, well, I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but we delivered 16,000 meals to people in our community, to their doors, lunch meals. We have a whole crew of volunteer people that help us get that done. We've been doing that since before the pandemic, and we even continued that service during the pandemic. So they just do an amazing job. If you saw, there was a great article in the Oregonian a couple of months ago highlighting our senior center, because they're doing some amazing programming for our seniors around mental health and end-of-life workshops to help them and families kind of work through that process, suicide prevention, support for families of caring, for their loved ones who may be going through Alzheimer's or something like that. There's just an amazing program around the mental health side that they're providing in the senior center today, which is just amazing. They have fun stuff too, like bingo and pinochle and bridge. They do holiday celebrations. And you heard about the excursion to the spa. What's the cutoff? What's the age cutoff? Kind of getting on that one. The other thing that's really cool, they are going to be bringing in social worker interns in the fall, so they can continue to expand the services and programs in the senior center, which is just great. Just wanted to, in terms of livability, we talked about parks. I wanted to just mention we just completed a master plan for Murdoch Park. It's online. I encourage you to go take a look at it. This is a drawing of it, but that park really needed an upgrade. There'll be some additional amenities, some more opportunities for sitting around the big pond that's out there, and we're really excited about that. And in this coming year's budget, we've allocated dollars to start the engineering work on that, so we get that done, so we can actually start moving forward with some of those upgrades and renovations to that park. And again, check it out on our website. Did I go the wrong way? No. Oh, public safety, yes. How many know about the Crimea Chronicles? Yeah. I'm truly amazed at our police department on a regular basis. We have just amazing sworn police officers who do amazing work in our community. A lot of us just think of our public service, or our officers out there writing tickets. That's not even close to the majority of work they do. We take the approach of community development. I'm going to get back to my notes before I get in trouble here. We do community policing is a very important part of what we do. We have officers that really understand people in our community. They know how to work with them. In terms of, I've witnessed this on ride-alongs when they're working with homeless people. They know these people. They know how to work with them compassionately and find them the services they need, and basically work with them where they need to be worked with. And they're just doing amazing work. We have amazing SROs. We have 2 SROs that work in our school system. That's been a great partnership with the school district. If you didn't know that, we split their salaries. The school district pays 50%, we pay the other 50%, and they're doing some amazing work. And if you ever catch me, I can tell you some of those stories about the work that they do out there. I put this picture up there. I love this picture because on May the 4th, that's another day, they do a Coffee with a Cop event, and they'll have all these folks come down dressed up as Star Wars characters, and it's a really fun event for the kids. I've been known to show up with my lightsaber at that event. It's a lot of fun, but again, just an amazing job, and really proud of our police department. Another thing that I'll talk about here is, make sure I get to the right one, is traffic safety. So obviously our police play a heavy role in the safety of our community in terms of pedestrian traffic and monitoring and enforcing our laws on the road. A couple of years ago, we created a traffic safety committee that reported to our police advisory board. And that was a place the community if they had concerns about traffic safety. Maybe there was an issue with a particular intersection. They could bring that to that committee. They discussed it. They worked internally within departments within the city to see what we could do to fix those problems. A fix could be rolling out a trailer with a little speed sign on it, something temporary. It could be on the other end of the spectrum where we go off and get funding to do a major overhaul of an intersection or something like that. We recently decided we wanted that committee to have feel more empowered and have more direct contact with council. So in fact, Tuesday night in our council meeting, we elevated that committee to report to a board, and it reports directly to the city council. Now they have a budget, and one of my goals is to give them more tools so they can address public safety and traffic safety issues within our city. A project we're working on right now is Timbrel, I think it's how it's pronounced. Timbrel, thank you, Ken. And Sunset, if you've ever driven by that intersection when schools, school kids are going to school or getting out of school, we've had some serious challenges there, especially as people have figured out that they can use Sunset to get around all the traffic and avoid 99 and 12 Sherwood. So in school, the school puts crossing guards there. We've had numerous incidents where speeding cars have almost hit crossing guards, almost hit kids. We haven't had an accident yet, but it was just a time bomb. So we worked with the school district. We worked with a state program called Safe Routes to School. But we found the funding, and we're actually doing an overhaul of that intersection. Hoping to have that done by summer, not putting on the spot rate. Depends on materials, some of the stuff is backlog order, but that's actually going to be a stoplight, not an intersection stoplight, but it'll actually be when the kids hit the button, cars will have to stop. It won't be just watch for kids kind of thing. So we're hoping that will really improve that intersection. And we have, as you can guess, that we have other intersections, other areas in the city that we're looking at in terms of how we can improve safety out there. All right. Fiscal responsibility. This is the only picture I downloaded off the internet. I'll look at it right now. I could get a picture of a room with people talking, but how does that say fiscal responsibility, right? So in fiscal responsibility, that pillar that we look at as a council, there's some key goals. One is to pursue, evaluate, and position the city to maximize available revenue sources. That's really important. And let me give you a little reason why that's important. So this year, due to external forces, for the most part, our health insurance costs are going to go up 11%. PERS, you guys know what PERS is, right? The state employment program or retirement program. That is increasing about 7.8%. Shared revenue from the state, so we get revenue back for tobacco sales and alcohol sales and stuff like that, is going down 13%. We have potential headwinds in the future with our library funding that we're working with the county on right now. Most of our, probably 80% of the funding for our library comes from the WCCL's library levy that everyone votes on every 4 to 5 years. And there's headwinds there in terms of we may be looking at having to cover more of those costs. We're also, there's a lot of activity happening in Salem right now that is preempting local control. So we're being asked to do what we call unfunded mandates. So where the state asks us to do something and we have to do it by law, but we're not getting the funding to do those projects. And there's a lot of that, there's a lot of energy around housing, and that's great. We need to solve for the housing crisis in the region. But a lot of that's getting dumped on the city, so we're having to do a lot to work with those things in terms of redoing our development code and having to go through the studies and process to do all that. So that is chewing into our revenue as well. I do want to give a shout out to Courtney Aaron, our House Representative. She has been a great advocate on preemption issues for cities, and she's fought very hard for the city of Sherwood on those issues. I appreciate that. And oh, by the way, she got us $4 million for the bridge. So I really appreciate your advocacy on that stuff. There was, I think, close to 5,000 bills in the long session here in Salem. So we track that very closely. We have consultants that we work with. Representative Muron and I talk a lot about those bills, but it's a lot to keep track of. It's a lot to advocate for. We work with the League of Oregon Cities. I'm on the board of the League, and the League does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of advocating for cities. I also serve on the Metro Mayor's Consortium Executive Committee, and we also do a lot of work advocating for cities and protecting our rights, keeping our funding, making sure we can control our own destiny. But on the fiscal responsibility side, all of those numbers I just threw out, that's huge. When you look at it on the big scale, we're looking at about 11% increase in expense costs. And most of that's outside of our control. I wish it was within our control because we can go solve for that problem, but most of that's outside our control. It's coming from all these different things that I talked about. And if y'all remember, Measure 5 and Measure 50 capped property tax increases at 3%. So we're on this trajectory. This is some of the headwinds we're dealing with, as I was talking to some of you about. When your revenue is only going up 3 to 4%, because we get 3% is capped for property tax growth. Anything we get above that is new growth. So we're averaging about 4.5% with some of the new developments going on. But that's a trajectory we can't sustain. And so how do we solve for that? The obvious politician gets up here and says, well, we need new taxes. Well, that's, in my mind, not the answer. We have to get more efficient with the money that we have, and do everything we can to make sure that we're spending it wisely, we're spending it efficiently, and we're squeezing every dollar, every ounce of positive benefit for the community out of those dollars that we can. At some point down, there's a lot of talk in Salem about overhauling Measure 5 and Measure 50 to give cities more breathing space and get it more in line with growth. But I also think we have to tackle that 11% increase every year. It's going up faster than inflation. It shouldn't be, in my mind, shouldn't be going up faster than inflation. So we have to tackle the expense side and also think about different other revenue streams that we can take advantage of. With that in mind, I talked a little bit about headwinds. I'll talk about some financial tailwinds. There are good things going on. Our urban renewal agency that we set up that is raising money through TIF financing. It's very complex, but I will just say TIF financing allows us to raise money without raising your taxes. That's the short story for everyone in the room. But it's a way of temporarily sharing revenue with all the taxing agencies so we can promote urban renewal and do big projects. Our urban renewal agency is exceeding our estimates in terms of the amount of money it's bringing in. It's one of the reasons we're able to do this bridge. It's another project we have in the Tonko employment area that will ultimately fund part of that. Come from funding from the URA as we're putting in Ice Age Drive, which will open up more employment land out there. So that's good news. We are getting some more revenue on that side. We've also been very effective in the last 5 years of working with our state and federal partners to bring money to Sherwood. As mentioned in the video, Representative Salinas got us a $1 million earmark for broadband expansion, which was great. We recently got a BDP grant, which is another acronym, but basically it's a little bit over $9 million to expand our rural broadband network all the way out toward the Willamette River and the borders of Newburgh. We got some ARPA money from Representative Muron and at the time Senator Thatcher to extend our networks between King City and Wilsonville. And so that's been great. We also got a $5 million EPA grant to clean up the tannery site. Anybody know what the tannery site is in town? Yeah, some of you have been here a long time. It used to be a tannery. It's out on Oregon Street toward the traffic circle, and it's just a messed up site. There's a lot of heavy metals in the ground, old heights, chromium. There was a lead battery company there for a while, and that $5 million will help us clean up that site. And our goal with that is, once that's cleaned up, we want to use URA funds to build a new public works facility, get the public works facility out of our downtown core, and then that 4.5 acres in downtown Sherwood, we can open that up for redevelopment. So whether that's affordable housing, multifamily housing, more commercial space, more foot traffic in our downtown core, we're really excited about that. But we got a lot of steps to go through. Step 1, get it cleaned up. And step 2, build a new facility. So we got $5 million in EPA funding. We also got Senator Wyden help us get $3 million for that Ice Age Road project I talked about, the Tonko preliminary. So when you start adding all that up, in the last 5 years, we've been able to bring about $22 million back to Sherwood. So that's awesome. And we're continuing to advocate. I just got back from DC last week and met with Senator Merkley and Senator Wyden and Representative Salinas because we have some sewer infrastructure projects that we'd like some help with. So we're working with federal government to get some earmarks for those. We'll continue to do that. Check the time here. So we're focused on fiscal responsibility. We're focused on being efficient. Being transparent is also really important, and proactive as we think about this. And one last thing I want to say about this, and this is another reason our council is great. We do long-term forecasting. So when we go into our budget cycle, we actually forecast our revenue and expenses out 5 years. And with government, it's actually kind of easy to do that, especially when I talked about the property taxes. And we look at what our ending fund balances look like in 5 years. And if we see that we're trending badly, and we have negative or not have an ending fund balance that's high enough to get us to November when taxes come in, we make the course correction early, right? Because if we correct a problem today, it costs us $1 to correct it. If we wait 5 years, it will cost us $5 to correct it. So it's really important that we stay ahead of that. We have a great council that understands that, and great staff that understands that. So I'm very proud of the work they do in that long-term forecasting. And I think, just want to make sure I got everything. Yep, I did. So the second to last pillar is civic engagement. The things we think about here, our key goals are improve the effective communication with our citizens, apply an organizational lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility when offering services and amenities to our citizens, and engage our youth in local government. Last night, very happy about this, and Councilor Broust, I think, had to leave, but she was a big advocate for this. We just created a new board. It's a youth advisory board. We're going to be inviting 7 high school age kids to join that. And any high school age kid that lives within the Sherwood School District boundary is eligible. Doesn't matter whether if they go to Sherwood schools or go to one of the private schools or homeschool, they're all eligible to get appointed to that committee. And we're really, my goal with that, and I think some of our council's goal is that, is we want to get kids engaged in local government. It's horrible what they see on the TV today in terms of the discourse that's going on in politics. At the local level, we still get things done. We do a lot of great work, and we don't have that divisiveness. And I want them to see that. I want them to see that there's career opportunities. You can become a civil engineer. You can go work in utilities. There's all kinds of things they can be thinking about. We want to get them involved, understand how the processes work, and have them advise the city council on things that are important to them, things that are important to youth in our community. So we just got that started. Another fun thing we just did in anticipation of that, once a year, several of us go to the National League of Cities Congressional Conference in DC. It's another opportunity to advocate for our city with the federal agencies and our federal team. We took 5 of our high school kids with us this trip, and NLC has programming for the high school kids. It was absolutely amazing. These 5 kids were just engaged, excited to be there. They did some sightseeing, which was amazing too, but they got to sit down for a half hour with Senator Merkley. And he was amazing. And his staff stayed an extra half hour and answered all their questions about how do you get one of those jobs and what their journey was and how they got there. So it was absolutely amazing for the kids. And we want to continue to do that with those 7 kids, but we'll probably have an annual process where we take some of them to that trip in DC. So just really, really cool. I think that's it. On the civic engagement side too, we're updating our website. We're trying to make our website easier to navigate. And we're also looking at other ways we can engage our community that's compatible with busy lifestyles that a lot of you have. In the old world, you have to come to a town hall or you have to come to a council meeting. there's got to be better ways that we can find out what our community's thinking, what are their priorities, let them weigh in on things that we're thinking about. And there's a lot of technology out there that I think can be helpful as we move forward in solving for some of those kind of problems. All right. All right, so I did all the pillars. I did want to talk about Sherwood West in a little bit more detail. The big thing, you know, we brought in 1,200 acres. I don't know if you can see this little green dot, but it's all this around here. Everything on the left side of the screen, kind of around the high school. So what does it mean when I say we brought in 1,200 acres? Well, what it really means is we asked Metro, which controls the urban growth boundary, to expand the urban growth boundary to include that 1,200 acres. Prior to that, it was designated as urban reserves. So there was a grand bargain a long time ago where they protected farmland for 100 years. They created urban reserves for the cities, and of course we had what was already within the urban growth boundary. So this land had been planned for decades to eventually come into shore. So we went through the process with Metro. They voted almost unanimously, I think there was one dissenter, to bring that land into the EGB. That does not mean it's in the city limits yet. It's just an urban growth boundary. So now we have to go through a planning process. And I talked a little bit about that earlier. So we'll be reaching out to the community for help in planning exactly what that looks like. We did a concept plan, now we have to do comprehensive planning, and on top of that, we're gonna do something called the master planning. And if anybody's been to Villebois and seen that area, that was a master planned community. And I'm not saying we're gonna do a replica of Villebois, by the way, but when I say we want to master plan it, because as a community, we have a little more control over what it looks like, what the housing types will be, you know, and how it's arranged and how it works and flows together. So that's going to be an important project. We'll be looking for volunteers to help us out with this. We'll have a citizens advisory committee, usually around 20 people, that help us do that design and advise us. There will be also a technical advisory committee, which will bring in more technical resources to help on that too. But just to kind of give you an idea of that 1,200 acres, we're looking at preserving 500 acres as natural areas. There's chicken creeks, there's some beautiful stream corridors through there. We're hoping to have trail systems through there, just like we have through like Cedar Creek and some of the other stream corridors in the city. So 500 acres off the top is going to be preserved as natural land. We're probably going to have 30 acres for schools and 30 acres for parks over there. We work with the school district in that concept planning. We're expecting about 340 acres for housing. And the way we did that concept plan is we're introducing some new zoning types, which I'm very excited about. We want to have a cottage cluster only zoning type. Does everybody know what a cottage cluster is? Yeah, I got one hand. Basically, think small footprint, like 700 square feet, single level, common courtyard, maybe a common rec center, you know, or a meeting space and stuff like that. But it's really just a small, it's a great starter home. It's a great home to age in place if you want to downsize, you know, from the big house that you have when you have 3 kids, you know, going into Sherwood School District. So we're excited about that concept. We're also doing some multifamily only zoning, focusing on like duplexes, triplexes, those types of things, because that will help us. You know, part of our challenge in Sherwood is if we just leave the zoning open, we're only going to get one type of housing built out here, usually single family detached. So we really want to encourage some multifamily housing out there. And then of course there'll be areas for single family detached housing. But you know, over the next 30 years, we could be looking at another 3,400 housing units over there. So we have a lot of work to do to plan for roads and transportation, what that's going to look like, and make sure that it's going to work, and make sure that it's I don't want to say the word compatible, but complementary to our current look and feel as a community. We don't want to lose the vibe. We have this great vibe here, small town, you know, family-oriented feel. We want to try to preserve that as we move forward. So that kind of sums up Sherwood West. If any of you are interested, by the way, you can get involved with that. Just reach out to me or one of the other counselors or our city staff, and there's a form online you can volunteer. volunteer for this kind of stuff. And we'll probably do some social media announcements when we start to fill those committees to help us out on that. All right, we're almost done. All right, Sherwood Broadband. You heard a little bit about that. Again, they do an amazing job. We have 1,500 residents already signed up, which in the big scheme of things, since we have 2 competitors in town, that's a big deal. We have really high click rates as we get expanded into new areas. We have a lot of people that are choosing Sherwood Broadband. We have about 200 commercial customers. We actually have commercial customers all over Washington, Yamhill, and Clackamas County. So our networks extend all the way to the Piddock building in downtown Portland, all the way out to the other side of Washington County and Clackamas County. And we have a lot of commercials like ADEC, it would be a great example. Providence was a big customer. Do a lot of work in that space. We're 50% complete on the fiber to home project. We're doing that with all our own crews. We have our own crews that can put fiber in the ground and attach it up to the house. We have found that it's cheaper for us to do it than to hire companies to do that for us. I didn't believe that at first. It just didn't make sense to me because government's always more expensive. But the truth is we can put fiber in the ground for less than $30 a foot, and a lot of the contractors you could hire putting it in the ground for $50 to $60 a foot. So we're saving a lot of money by doing it ourselves, and now we have the expertise, so we can take on these bigger projects. We also have great pricing. We have a $30 plan. We set up this $30 plan when there was a federal program called ACP, because the Affordable Connectivity Program gave a $30 subsidy to low-income families for their broadband service. So we figured we'll have a $30 plan, so that's effectively zero for a low-income family. That was our goal with that. Unfortunately, Congress did not renew the ACP program. So if you want to write letters to your Congress folks, we'd love to see that program come back. And to be fair, our congressional team all supported getting that renewed, but it didn't get through. But we still have a $30 plan that's really targeted at lower income families. But to give you an idea of the pricing, we have for 1 gigabit symmetrical, that means up and down, it's $60 a month, and that's all in, taxes, everything. Your bill will be $60. So great plan. I have it now, and it's awesome. It works great. But Sherwood Broadband, how many people have Sherwood Broadband? I'm just curious. All right, I hate to have thumbs up. All thumbs up? Any thumbs down? Okay, awesome. Yeah. How many people are waiting for Sherwood Broadband? Okay, awesome. Yeah, and there's no contract. There's no contract. We don't do what you see with a lot of carriers where, for the first year you get it at this and we raise your rates. If we raise rates, it's for everyone at the same time. We don't play those games. It's pretty much a fixed rate. I don't think we've raised our rates yet so far, and the program works great. All right. That's all I got. I just want to thank everyone for coming. Thank all our regional partners who are here today that work with us. I actually like doing this event. It's a fun event for me, and I hope you liked it, and I hope you'll come back next year. And if you have questions or you have concerns, you're worried about what the city's doing and why in the world are they doing that, never hesitate to reach out to me or one of the counselors or our city staff, because we are more than happy to sit down and chat and tell you what's going on, give you perspective. And sometimes we hear great ideas, so we want to hear them. So thank you, everybody.